I'm Stan Campbell. Last week, I took a short trip out of town to do an interview with the owners of a business called Driver Check. Normally, our interviews are about 10 minutes long for our truck news talk show and about 3 or 4 minutes here on Trucker Radio. But this turned out to be different. The 10 minutes turned into about 25 or 30 minutes. And at times, the conversation was emotional. So we're breaking it down into what I call a mini-series. We begin this week with a portion of an interview with Dr. Chris Page. This is part 1. We were downstairs in your very first office, and you were explaining to us how it all got started. Now, we're going to take some pictures here because you've got to see this place. Where it all began, and we're talking about Driver Check, of course. Tell me those first days, how did it all get started? Why?
Well, I was doing emergency medicine for 20 years, and I hit the night wall. I couldn't do another night shift, and I loved the job, but I was dreading going in on night shift, so I was looking around for something different to do, and Wayne McMillan from Markel, I'd bumped into him, and he said, you should go to MRO school. They got drug testing coming up, so I went and took the course, and then Markel started sending me medicals, so I had built this barn, and so I did all the Markel medicals in here for a number of years, and it's like Canada's third medical review officer. I couldn't get any lab pricing or anything out of the Canadian labs, so one of my lab techs and one of the clinics I built said, you should go down to Lab 1. They have a presence here in Canada. So I went down to Kansas City, met the folks at Lab 1, and they gave me a lab price. Got the lab price, and I came up here, and I sat down with Bob Hall from J&R Hall Transport. I said, Bob, here's what it's going to cost for the lab. Here's what it's going to cost for collection. We pulled a number out of our ass. We didn't know what we were doing. And then I said, we should put in like $5 for MRO. And then Bob says, what about administration? And I said, what the hell's administration? And then he says, you better put in $20 for administration. And so I put in $20 for administration, and the price was $70 for a drug test. And I said, you know, Bob, why do we put in $5 more for French and distance? And that's the price of the drug test, $75. And that's how we got it.
And you started it, the building we're sitting in here, used to be a barn at one time?
Well, I built this from scratch.
Okay.
But the permit wouldn't allow anything other than a barn because it's agriculturally zoned. So I stuck a barn up there, and then I cheated on everything else after that and didn't get a permit for putting in a septic system or any of the other stuff. But I was getting to be the largest employer in town, so no one hassled me, and I'd hired all my neighbors. So,
by the way, just so people know, we're in Ayr, Ontario. That's AYR for people who live in different parts of the country. We were just standing downstairs in the room that you worked in, and it's about the size of a large garage.
Yep,
maybe a 2-car garage.
Yep.
And you had a pot-bellied stove in the middle.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, I kept the place warm with a pot-bellied stove, and I had an old desk from high school that I did my MRO work on and kept my files in there, and the file record keeping was all there. We barely had room to get into the bathroom. By the time we left here, we'd had nearly 18 staff, something like that, in here.
When you first started, did you get the attitude, but who are you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, from everybody.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. There was a few of them that did their best to make sure that I got nowhere.
There always is.
Yeah.
What were they doing previous to that in Canada?
Well, there was no drug testing really at that point in time, right? This all started in 96 with the American regulations. It was a challenge. I lost a lot of nights' sleep, but I never once thought that I would fail. I never once thought that I would fail. I used to walk down in the evening over the 401 bridge down there, and I said to myself, I can do this. No one is going to stop me. I can make this work. I can do this. And I did that every night. I can do this. I can do this. I watched the trucks flow under that bridge, and I can think, I can do this. I never once thought that I would fail. And I hadn't a clue what I was doing.
We were all moved in that room by the amount of passion and heart that Dr. Chris Page poured into this company that he built 20 years ago. And it's still evident today.